Joining us today to answer some questions on that, we have on the show Senator Win Gatchalian, Chairman of the Senate Finance Committee. Good morning. Welcome back to Morning Matters.
Thank you, Gretchen. Good morning to our televiewers.
Senator, first of all, your reaction to the names that floated over the weekend, the appointment of Babe Singson and Rosana Fajardo to this Independent Commission for Infrastructure. Do you think they bring the right balance of expertise and independence here?
Well, Secretary Singson brings in experience both from the private and from the government sector. When I was a mayor, I actually had an opportunity to interact with him, and I know he's very strict. In fact, he will tell you if it's not possible. I remember talking to him about some projects for Valenzuela, but he said it's not possible. So, in other words, he's a very straightforward, very strict guy, and that's what we need in terms of analyzing what really happened in DPWH. And he also brings in that experience within government, because government, especially DPWH, is a very complicated, it's a very complex organization. So you need to know, you need someone who knows the ins and outs of DPWH. As to the person from SGV, I think this is also important, considering that a lot of these documents are actually very, very complicated as well. You need to tie up different types of documents in order to know whether there is fraud or not. So you need people who can sift through or analyze the documents thoroughly, and you need people who have technical knowledge to do that. So the team from SGV can bring that to the table.
Baguio City Mayor Benjamin Magalong was named special advisor of the ICI, but his role has already drawn criticism, particularly from Congress, citing that he has already made bold statements in public, calling some lawmakers criminals. Do you believe that he is still the right person to spearhead the investigation?
I think more importantly is his dual role as a mayor and as a person who will advise the ICI. Like I said, I was a mayor before. A mayor's job is not only full-time but double time or triple time. You really need to focus on your city because the city evolves every single hour, every single minute. You know, we have problems every single minute. So I think he needs to decide whether he wants to be the mayor or he wants to pursue this ICI role. But it's going to be very complicated to have dual role because both roles are very important and it deserves full-time attention.
Actually, ang sabi niya, hindi siya pwede maging officially part of this committee dahil nga siya ay person in power. Pero may iba naman na may agam-agam na he's a very close ally of the Dutertes and that he may spare people in that time. Ano po ang thoughts po ninyo doon?
That's another issue to contend with, Gretchen. Politics. As politicians, we have our own political leanings, we have our own political beliefs. So the first statement of the president saying that he will not appoint a politician is actually a very good statement. We should get people who are bureaucrats, technocrats, as well as with no political leanings, because we don't want to throw political shade into the investigation. That's a very it will create a lot of doubt whether the investigation being pursued is indeed impartial or not. So if you ask me, this is my own personal opinion, I would rather appoint a technocrat or a person with technical, very deep technical know-how. For example, engineers or someone or someone who knows the law or someone who knows how to audit, so that when you pursue this, it's purely impartial.
Sabi nga nung iba, no, sana may lawyer din thrown into the mix.
Maybe the third commissioner will be a lawyer. I think because you have someone from the technical side, from the audit side. I think you need also someone from the legal side because eventually the ICI will pursue and recommend filing of cases. Now we have to know what cases to file para hindi matalo actually.
Meron na ba kayong naririnig ng pangalan?
Wala pa naman. Wala pa. May mga na-float, no? But I think it will be announced shortly, so we can just wait for that.
Okay, with the ICI now in place, how would this affect the Senate's investigation? Paano kaya magiging complementary po yun? Kayo po ba mag-work together, or will that your probe remain independent?
Actually, if you look at the facts and leads that were given related to this ghost projects and also this corrupt DPWH officials, everything came from Senator Lacson. So the leads came from him. So I think it's good that the Senate, through the Blue Ribbon Committee, will pursue that because the leads came from him. So if we can go deeper into those leads to find out more information, and then later on that information will be passed on to the ICI, then at least the ICI will not start from zero. No, because what we want is immediate prosecution of those who committed corruption. And at the same time, the Senate's goal is to produce legislation to plug the gaps. Everything we do here is in aid of legislation. So the output of the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee will be in the form of pieces of legislation.
There is an impression here that both the House and the Senate are drawing battle lines. I mean, pag dinignan mo yung investigasyon sa House, may dalawang senador na inimplicate. Pagdating naman po dito sa Senate investigation, may mga congressman. Paano po kaya? I mean, what are your thoughts when it comes to that? And that power struggle was evident in the way that the case of Bryce Hernandez was dealt with, na nagkaroon ng parang argument over his custody, where he ended up in the Pasay City jail. Ano po ang palagay niyo doon?
Two things, Gretchen. Number one, it's timely that the ICI has already been formed. So let the independent commission pursue deeper investigation and recommend cases to be filed against erring officials, including legislators, kung meron. No? Because all of these names came out and a lot of these politicians were implicated. So the ICI can pursue this independently without any political favor. So, and that's what we need. We need to the goal here, Gretchen, is to bring back the confidence of the people. Nawala yung tiwala ng tao eh. So we bring back the confidence of the people through this independent investigation. And if the independent investigation will come up with names, then even politicians, then so be it. We have to pursue that. And then number two, we need to continuously vet the statements of Vizcaya and even Hernandez. We need to continue to go to investigate their statements. We cannot take it hook, line, and sinker because we don't know whether they are being used so that they will throw ililihis by attention. They will throw a monkey wrench into the investigation. So we need to continuously vet. Although the leads are noted, but we need to make sure that it's investigated properly.
But do you agree with sending Bryce Hernandez to the Pasay City Jail? Marami po kasing nangangamba sa kanyang safety. Even Senator Laila De Lima, or Congresswoman Laila De Lima said na congested doon at baka madelikado po ang kanyang buhay. Lalo na napakabigat din ng mga sinabi niyang pangalan.
Well, the Senate has custody. So so in other words, the Senate has responsibility over Mr. Hernandez. So, in other words, accountable ang Senado on his safety. No? So, and the Senate has put people there 24/7. So, to make sure that he is safe, to make sure that he is properly attended to. But in terms of jurisdiction and custody, it's the Senate that has that.
Ano po yung naging pag-uusap po niya dito sa caucus when it comes to that part, no? And is he in a separate room at least to make sure that he will be safe?
I have no information whether he's in a separate room, but definitely the Senate has 24/7 eyes and ears inside Pasay City Jail. Nagawa na yan in the past. No, this is not a unique case. So we Normally, if if we need additional security, or there's a need to move people who are cited in contempt to another facility, we have done that in the past. No, the Senate holding room or the Senate detention room is not very big. No, so there are cases that we transfer them to another facility.
Of course, the Senate also has to manage the public perception on influencing resource persons, which was the point of the debate here. I mean, will you summon Bryce Hernandez to the next hearing again? And how do you continue to manage that, and how the Senate deals with this?
Well, definitely, no. He has information. Well, allegedly, he has information that can be pursued in order to exact accountability. So definitely, he will be part of the investigation later on.
Which leads me to my next question. If you see Senate President Tito Soto, it seemed that he was caught in a bind when it comes to this issue, knowing that he holds a very thin majority, as mentioned by Senator Ping Lacson. But there were rumors over the weekend that Senator Alan Peter Cayetano was challenging the Senate presidency. Is there truth to that, and have you been approached?
Well, at least for me, I haven't talked to anyone yet. I was very busy over the weekend reading the budget because the budget deliberations ongoing, and so we don't have any. Personally, I don't have any. I didn't have any interaction with anyone, and as far as I know, no, the senators are looking also for stability in leadership, and right now with all of these things happening, Senate President Tito Soto brings that to the table, so that we can already pursue our legislative activities such as budget deliberation and other bills. So, in my opinion, at least in my case, the Senate President Tito Soto is on very stable ground.
And you retained the chairmanship of the Senate Committee on Finance, which overlooks and has oversight on public spending. Kayo daw po, nag-usap daw po kayo ni Senator Ping Lacson and Tito Soto na ikaw ang eagle eyes or you will keep an eagle eye on this budget. And you cited that the NEPS has, or the General Appropriations Bill has numerous red flags. Ano po nakikita niyo po doon sa budget habang inaaral po ninyo?
Well, ako lang naman yung nagli-lead, no? But all of us senators have a responsibility to make sure that the items in the budget are valid and accurate. No, so I think lahat naman kami eagle-eyed in terms of making sure that the budget is being processed with accuracy and integrity. That said, yes, during one of the hearings, I think during the DBCC hearings, we came up with 6 red flags in the flood control projects. Red flags such as double items, repeated items. For example, the project has been implemented in the past and then it showed up again in the 2026 budget. There are budgets that were cut into smaller pieces, such as packages or phases. So these are the things that we need. We call it red flags. And the DPWH needs to explain this further or give us a valid reason why they did that. Or else, for us, that is a hazard that we need to remove from the budget because it is prone to corruption.
Help us understand more on the topic of insertions. Kasi alam po natin na sa proseso ng pagdaan ng bill na yan sa Kongreso at sa Senado, may mga lobbying na nangyayari. So ano po yung are insertions considered red flags, and is there a legal type of insertion? Kasi I remember Senator Tito Soto or Senator Lacson said na tinawagan daw ng DPWH USEC si Senator Tito Soto at tinatanong kung anong gustong i-insert dito nga sa infra. So, hindi po ba parang normal yun na may ganyang lobbying? Where do you draw the line, in short?
That's a very good question, Gretchen. In fact, a very important question. Insertions and amendments are interchangeable, and it's being used interchangeably and loosely because it's pretty much the same. When you amend, basically you include projects in the National Expenditure Program. Now, amendment is part of the power of the purse, and that's enshrined in the Constitution. So Congress and the Senate, being given the power of the purse through the Constitution, can amend items. So like for example, in my case, over the past years, I've amended, pero pabawas. I've removed budget from different agencies because I find them incongruent with the mandates of those agencies. It's not in line with the mandate of those agencies. So we would remove budget and put it somewhere else. Now, when you put somewhere else, this is also important because you want to coordinate, or the proponent wants to coordinate, the proponent needs to coordinate with the agency so that the agencies are also alerted that you are amending or adding budget to their agency so that that addition can be implemented. If you don't alert them, doon na lumalabas yung mga projects na walang feasibility study, walang lupa, walang MOA, and that becomes a problem because you cannot implement it. Kahit na may pondo, it takes time to implement, and by the time you implement it, it's already end of the year. No? So nasasayang yung pera.
So normal po itong pag-uusap ng mga senador at mga congressman dito sa mga departamento?
For me, when you amend, you have to justify it. Whether amending to add budget or amending to reduce budget, you have to justify it. It has to be, number one, implementable. Dapat ma-implement yan right away. Number two, it's needed by the constituents. Number three, it's needed by the agency. Number four, it's coordinated through, with the LGU and also the agency. So all of these things should be present in order to make that amendment productive. Or else, mag-amend ka lang, pero hindi naman magamit-gamit. And the other one is also, now that it's coming up, there's also allegations that politicians amend the budget because meron silang cut SOP from that budget. So that's another allegation that we are investigating right now. No? Because ang mga accusation right now is politicians amend the budget or insert in the budget, and then later on, sila rin mag-i-implement ng budget o sila makakakuha ng SOP from that budget. No? And so that's short, blatantly illegal.
Oo. Sa tingin po nyo, may sabit kaya itong si DPWH Yusek Cabral sa kanyang pagtatanong o wala? Because yun nga parang parte yun nung coordination na yun. And also in line with that, pati yung pag-uusap ni Senator Joel sa DPWH kay DE Henry Alcantara.
We need to go deeper into that. No? Of course, kasama yan sa investigation. We need to get the statements from both parties. It's very hard to make a judgment right now because you only hear one side but you haven't heard the other side. So we need to hear both in order to come up with judgments. But basic lang, no? Basic lang. If a legislator wants to amend, you have to make sure that all those 4 items that I mentioned are present. It's coordinated, it's needed. Number 2, it's the other one is it's requested by your constituents, and it's implementable. Kasi if it's not implementable and you put money there are cases, ako narinig ko ito, there are cases that legislator would put items in an agency, pero sasabihin naman ng agency, hindi naman namin kailangan yan. Or that's already obsolete. No? Hindi na namin kailangan yung item. Then sayang lang yung pera. So you need to coordinate with the agencies as well.
Okay. And with that, paano po kaya, what reforms are you seeing here coming out of both the Senate probe and the Commission's work to prevent similar anomalies and strengthen checks and balances?
This is a systemic problem, so you need a systemic solution. And the systemic solution here is to fix it from step 1 all the way to the last step. Meaning, from the point you bid out the project, you need to make sure that's transparent. In fact, use electronic means or digital means to already bid out. Hindi na mano-mano ngayon. From the time it's awarded, it has to be electronic. From the time that it's monitored, it's being audited, everything should be electronic. So, in my opinion, the systemic solution here is to fix the system itself, from start to end. And one of the things that I will propose later on is to make sure that everything is done digitally through the internet so that everything is transparent.
So you are for open data for all infrastructure projects?
Yes, definitely. In fact, in the new procurement law, that's already mandated. But we need to push DPWH to implement that digital or internet-based bidding and awarding.
May bilang panghuli, you floated the idea of scrapping the flood control budget altogether, 270 billion in allocations for flood mitigation. Ano po yung posibilidad na ganun nga po ang direksyon ng Senado, tatanggalin na lang?
Well, yan ang agreement namin. Mostly that's the sentiment of the senators to remove the 270 billion from the flood control projects and put it to education. We still have a lot of requirements in for classrooms, for textbooks, for daycare centers. So generally, the senators are open to the idea of moving it to education. But I heard the president, he also wants to add some amounts to health, which I agree. Over the weekend, nandito si President sa Valenzuela to celebrate his birthday, and he visited our local hospital. And a lot of our local hospitals, DOH hospitals, a lot of the DOH hospitals are underfunded. So one of the things that we're also looking at is to fund and upgrade DOH hospitals.
Hindi po kaya, these projects, some of the projects are still ongoing. Hindi kaya maantala o maging rason to ng pag-antala, lalo ng mga infra projects, because they can just say, wala naman kaming budget itong taon for that, for flood mitigation.
If you look at the flood control project, it still has 350 billion pesos remaining from previous years. So, in other words, this coming year, hindi naman mawawala yung flood control. They will still spend 350 billion. So there will be flood control projects in 2026, albeit coming from previous budgets. And also the reason why there's leftover, because DPWH now is strictly monitoring and analyzing the leftover budget for flood control. And that's the proper thing to do. Wag lang implement. Just make sure that these projects are effective.
Siyempre, hindi lang po flood control, pati yung ibang infrastructure projects ngayon, binibring up na rin, katulad ng mga farm-to-market roads, at iba pa. Pati yun po ba ay sisilipin din po ninyo? O
yeah, definitely. Marami lang talaga siya. We're talking about more than 15,000 line items. So, I actually just talked to the Asian Institute Management Data Science group. So I talked to their chief data scientists. We're using, I told them that, it's physically impossible for us to look at more than 50,000 projects. So they will help us analyze the 15,000 plus projects using data science and artificial intelligence. So this will be the first time that the budget will undergo scrutiny of data scientists and using technology to find out whether the projects are with red flags or not effective or nadodoble-doble.
What kind of data are you hoping? What kind of data are you hoping to get from that? What is the name of the group?
It's part of the Asian Institute of Management. They have a team there of data scientists. They are actually helping us in EDCOM, in the Education Commission. So this group, I tapped them to help us analyze the budget. So because kung mano-mano lang, it's not going to take time. So we need technology, we need computers to analyze it.
How do you figure that out from the numbers?
So they will feed, the National Expenditure Program is in Excel format. So they will just feed that to their algorithms, and they will also have algorithms, let's say, on flood-prone areas, on areas that are perennially flooded, and they will match it. So they will develop an algorithm just to analyze the budget.
Makikita rin po ba dito yung pagbabago ng mga numero from, pinasa pa sa
Actually, The focus will be on the 2026 budget, but we will not limit it to the previous budgets later on.
Oo. Okay, we hope we could also see the results of that. And hopefully, it does help you guys make better decisions moving forward. Kayo po ang tinuturong math wizard daw
Di naman.
ng Senado.
Di naman.
Sabi
Di naman.
na leadership yon. Okay?
Di naman.
Maraming salamat. Thank you so much for sitting down
Alright.
with us and helping us understand that. Thank you so much for your time today. We have Senator Win Gatchalian. He is,
Thank
of
you.
course, the sitting chairman of the Senate Finance Committee that has oversight over the budget. Maraming salamat
Thank you,
for
Gretchen.
joining us on Morning Matters.